welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to be discussing frost seeding. We're going to be talking about tips for frost seeding, time of season, weather, things of that nature. I'm currently standing in a brand new food source. We came through with the leaf blower, blew this whole area out, made the design with the leaf blower, then came back through with the chainsaw, started cutting some of these maple out of here and some of the other hardwood trees. We're trying to open this up, get canopy removed. As you can tell, it's pretty shady up here. We're getting close to sunset right now, but pretty much throughout the whole day it's about this shady. This is closed canopy hardwood forest through here, and we're trying to change that. And we're also working on a new design, new food plot, and we're frost seeding our annual clover today, and wanted to go ahead and discuss the benefits of using the frost seeding method and how this can help you guys out and how to rotate this into a full system. So when it comes to frost seeding, the number one thing is going to be utilizing this time of year, which is going to be late winter, early spring. You're trying to catch the freezing and thawing cycles. It's going to do a couple things. First thing is, whenever you have a freeze and thaw cycle, the seed's going to be sitting on top of the soil. If you're using a broadcast no-till method like we are, you really need that seed to soil contact. You're not using a planter or a drill. I'm not doing tillage on my farm, so I'm kind of making it a little bit tougher on myself. But if I can utilize the right weather, the right time of season, this stuff works. It works great. You don't have to worry about compaction or coming through and tilling and drying out the soil, killing your biology, things of that nature. You can get a really well established food source, and it's going to be less equipment, less wear and tear, and less time. But the key is to use the thawing and freezing. What that's going to do is the soil is going to open and close. It's going to work that seed down in the soil. The other thing is, every morning, if you start to get those warmer temperatures and it starts to thaw, that thawing of the ice is going to add moisture to the soil, add moisture to your seed. It's going to help the germination process, and it's going to help push that seed on through. You can come back through if you want. You can lime an area if you need to. My other food sources, I've already corrected the soil and all of those except for these two new ones. So I probably will come through here, add some lime to this, take a soil test, figure out where we're at, how much lime we need to add, do we need to add any fertilizer, things of that nature. This is up on top of a ridge. This is something we've been mapping for many years. All of our food sources are currently in the bottoms, but we wanted to strategically place a couple food plots up in the top, and that's what we're doing. We're utilizing this inside corner here. Right now, I know it doesn't look like much because we're coming through and we're cutting a lot of these trees out, but once we get this all cleared out, we're just making a long, skinny run all the way along this ridge. Got a couple deer stand locations picked out. The benefits of using the frost seeding method is that you can do it early. You're going to get seed in the ground before springtime. I'm a turkey hunter. I know a lot of you guys watching this channel are probably turkey hunters, so I'm not trying to just benefit my deer. I'm trying to also benefit my turkey as well. So the nice thing about this is you're going to have clover popping early. Here in the central part of Illinois, a lot of times it takes our clover. I like to plant annual clovers like crimson clover. It takes the clover, until about, I'd say, closer to April to really start coming on, which is fine. That's when our season's open. But if you're trying to start feeding wildlife early like I do, where I want my deer and my turkey hitting this stuff in February and March, this is where you're going to want to use a rotational method like we are. We'll get more in depth on that later by using our winter rye and how we utilize this whole system. We rotate everything throughout the year, so we plant in the spring, we plant in the summer, and we plant in the fall, and we have a whole rotation that's working. But for today, we're just discussing frost seeding clover and how to do it. So it's really easy. You don't need much. I got one of these solo broadcast seeders. Backpack leaf blower is a huge help for areas like this. If you're going to be planting these out in open fields, no big deal. You can just mow it, burn it. But if you're going to be planting food plots in the timber like I like to do, one, you're going to have to cut hardwoods down. Two, you're going to have some sort of either rake or backpack leaf blower, and you're going to want to get this cleared off. You're not going to get the full benefit of the frost seeding method unless you have exposed soil. That is one of the number one things. You've got to have exposed soil to ensure that these seeds are going to germinate and that they're not going to be sitting on top of leaf litter and sticks and things like that. The other thing I think that gets overlooked is a lot of times people think, well, I'll just go out on frost seed, I'm gonna have a great stand of clover, and they don't keep in mind things like closed canopy or plants fighting for nutrients, things like that. I know that everything is dormant right now, but I cut a few of these maple down and the sap's flowing like crazy already, much earlier than previous years. Weather's warmed up, so that's going to be the next thing to discuss is weather and the time of season to do this. It's not so much dependent on a specific date as it is the weather. So last year, I don't think I started frost seeding until closer to March, might have even been in the middle of March. This year, we're in the beginning of February, weather's already above average, 55 during the day, 30s, sometimes 20s at night. We got a lot of rain in the forecast coming. This is a great time to do it. If you're going to be using a broadcast seeder like we do, you're really going to want to utilize weather. Turkey population's pretty good this year. There's been a lot of hens up here, and if I just come through here, plant all this clover seed and I don't have any rain or warm weather or anything of that nature, likely a lot of this is going to get picked up by turkeys and other small birds and things like that. So weather is important. Don't get hung up on a planting date. It's not going to be the same every single year. Just get on the weather station or an app on your phone, look up the 10-day forecast. If you see 55, 60 degrees during the day, 30s at night, that's the perfect time to start doing the frost seeding. Mainly this is going to be for clover. You want to plant a perennial clover. You don't want to continue rotating crops, maybe cost wise, things like that. You just want to focus on just getting a nice clover plot established. A perennial clover plot will be great. Seed it. Frost seeding is going to ensure that you're not really fighting any weeds. It's going to be a great way to get it established. Then you can come back through with your lime and fertilizer out with an annual, depending on what type of annual clover you're using. I know some of your red clovers, even if it's annual, they will come back. But for me, a lot of times I'm coming through and I'm terminating my clover. At the same time, I'm terminating my rye, and then I'm starting my turnips and radish. I'm doing a full cycle. One, this is helping me build soil, able to create some diversity in my food plots instead of just having a monoculture. Not saying that's terrible, but it's definitely ideal to be rotating and switching seeds. I like to use sorghum, I like to use soybeans. I've noticed that if I'm rotating my food plots, the deer seem to like that more. It gives them a variety, and they don't want to just eat the same thing, all year round. Another thing with the design on this, down in that corner down there, there's a lot of white oak trees. Deer hit this spot late October, early November. This is a really, really good location. That's why I picked it for a food plot. Even though it's a little bit tough as far as having to cut a lot of hardwood trees down, just all the extra labor. But at the end of the day, when frost seeding, when picking a food plot location, I always look for the best spot, not necessarily the easiest spot. Hopefully this was helpful, guys. Frost seeding's it's exactly like it sounds. It's not overly complicated. The main thing is just making sure that you have a clean spot, exposed soil, the right temperature, buy a good quality seed. And what I mean by that is make sure that you read those labels on the back. I used to work in a seed lab. I'm very familiar with labeling and germination and weed seeds and things that it'll say on there if there's inert matter, obviously seed coating, things of that nature. You want to make sure that you have pure seed. You want to make sure that the germination is between maybe 89 and 95. That's going to be a pretty decent quality seed. You definitely don't want something that's like 60 or 70, full of inert matter. Just that 50% of the bag is, seed coating, things like that. There's a lot of scams out there as far as seed go. Got to be careful with that. That's going to ensure that you have quality food plot, is making sure that you have good seed, good soil exposure, the right weather. You guys follow these tips this late winter, early spring, you'll have a successful clover stand. Thanks for tuning in on this week's episode, guys. We'll be back soon.